All right. Hi, everybody. Today is Friday, July 18th. I know you guys haven't seen me in a while. It has been super busy. Today was the craziest day I've had in a long time. I've had to deal with government today, specifically the Department of Motor Vehicles. And it's just wild. It's unbelievable some of the stuff put it like this, my patience is growing. Anyway, I am glad to see you guys. I am dragging a little bit, but I'm getting my pep back right now. There are a lot of things that have been happening in the first 6 months of this year. In my opinion, most of them are not good. So I wanted to talk about a few of them. I'm going to be checking the chat to see, what you all are saying, how you all have been affected by a lot of the things that have gone on. And I'm going to start out talking about the president's bills. So, this big, beautiful bill, and then you've got this $9 billion recessions package. And throughout history, they name these bills things that sound like they're going to be good for us, but they end up not being good for us. For example, the Federal Reserve, it's not federal and there's no reserve. But it sounds like, oh, they're reserving money for us and that kind of thing. So I, of course, if you're new here, if you're new here, you don't know. So I'm going to tell you, I don't vote. My stance is changing the players without changing the game is an exercise in futility. In my opinion, the Democrats and the Republicans are two wings on the same bird flying us into you know where. So it doesn't matter who's in office. That person is not running the country. That person is a shield for people that you'll never know. You'll never know their names. Some say it's the Illuminati. Some say it's the Bilderberg. Some say it's the banksters. Some say it's the insurance companies, and it's probably a mixture of all of that. But the things that I've been seeing based on what was promised to the American people in order to get their votes and what's actually happening right now is almost like night and day. Now, the last thing I have on here, which I will talk about first, is this immigration. I mean, they're got the National Guard taking people out of here, and from what I understand, there are actually people that are citizens that have been taken out of here. Not necessarily the ones to that jail where they're taking the gangs, but just people that have been, stopped and almost it's chaos, and we don't do well under chaos. When a person or a people is afraid, they make decisions that are normally bad for them. And I think one of the things that certain people might want is for us to always be fearful so that we won't be level-headed and make the decisions that need to be made. That bill that is the recession package, the $9 billion bill, it's going to affect people in the state. Supposedly now, it's going to get rid of some of the national debt. Now, this is part of what Doge was supposed to do. Doge went in and they were talking about, oh, we found all these millions of dollars or billions of dollars being wasted over here, wasted over there. And then when we started saying, okay, so you found this money and you're stopping these programs, and what are you going to do with the money? Put a one in the chat if you know that most of that money went to the Department of Defense. Yeah. Now, critics of this bill talk about how it's going to they're taking away a lot of money from NPR, National Public Radio, and all the public stations. That really doesn't concern me. I just want to make sure that they understand that these are our resources and that they use them correctly, which they're not. So, one of the things that Doge brought up that rings really loudly in my head is, how can someone go into Congress with a $214,000 salary and come out of Congress with a $15 million net worth? What is that? And so I understand what that is. There was some programs that some people don't want to end. Now, some good was coming out of these programs, but a lot of the money was going out the back door, like U.S. aid and things like that. I don't, I don't condone not helping people. Our Constitution actually says we're supposed to not be dealing in anybody else's affairs, but that's long gone. And I do believe in helping people, in crisis and all that. But how much of that money, just like with some of these charities that they talk about, you find out that a charity is bringing in millions of dollars and 50% of it is going to the salaries of the CEO and all those people. And, sometimes even 80%. So this is what's going on. And, you know, I'm tired of it. And I'm sure you're tired of it too. It doesn't make any sense for all, and there's some charts out there that'll tell you how much the Congress people's net worth is, like, going up. Like, people are literally following Nancy Pelosi's trades because they know that, insider information is real. So I'm gonna go to the chat and see what everybody's saying before I go on. Orlando is ready for some go get the golden nuggets. I'm trying not to drag Thomas. I really am. Hi, Celine. It took me longer than I should have revealed, but I will no longer vote. Yeah, it's just, it doesn't make sense because nothing has changed for us over the last century. All these promises were made and we're still in situations, and they'll say, oh, this bill, we're going to do this, but they don't tell you that it's over 10 years. So it doesn't get cranked up till next year, and then this bill is supposed to be over the next 10 years. So by the time it gets cranked up, then the regime changes there, and then it goes away. So we've just been wading in the water all this time, and it's time to take control of our lives and our finances. So yeah, Celine, you're right. Same bird, exactly. Same bird, two wings on the same bird. Change the word change to meaning. Yes. Okay. Good evening. Hi. Elon and the president had a big, beautiful breakup. I don't know how. Remember, I talk about the kabuki dance, and what that is that it's like shadow boxing. You're acting like you're hitting, and then you're really not hitting, and we're thinking that the blows are going in. I'm not really sure about that. I know that, and that's one of the other things I was going to talk about in a second, about Elon Musk and this third party. But let's see what we got: bribes, corruption, all this theft. And you know what? The hypocrites sit there and talk about third world countries and all of their corruption. Like, there are a lot of African countries that are known for corruption. But look over here, y'all. Hypocrites, 2% cause all the rest. Yeah, yeah. So anyway, Elon Musk has started a third party. I know he's got all these billions of dollars to just, do all this whimsical stuff that he wants to do. How many of you think that it's going to make a difference? Because Robert F. Kennedy, I think, was one of the ones that was running independent, and all these other people that have run independent over the years, and they maybe got 1 or 2% of the vote, maybe 5, but everybody's angry at them because they took votes away from this one party, what they call it, the Democrats and the Republicans, the Republicrats and the whatever they are. Anyway, how many of you think it's, say yes if you think that it's going to make a difference? Put a yes in the chat if you think it's going to make a difference. Put a no in the chat if you think this third party that he's cooking up is going to make a difference. I personally don't, because whoever is in charge of the party and the people that he hangs with are the same people that all the others hang with. So I think it's just another kabuki dance. I really do. I really do. I'm not surprised, but it's disappointing that a lot of the things that were promised aren't coming through. For example, stopping the tax on Social Security. They did not stop the tax on Social Security. That would make a lot of difference for a lot of people, because some people make a little bit extra money and Social Security is taxed. So what they ended up doing is they eliminated the first $6,000 in your Social Security from being taxed. That's just I don't know what you call that. It's not even a placation. It's not placating anything. It's a slap in the face. That's one of the things that they said that was going to happen. I think that the same thing with the tips. So tips were supposed to be not taxable, but they put a threshold on there. So if the tips are more than a certain amount of money, they're taxable. So I understood a long time ago that president could say anything they want to say, but then getting a bill through Congress, it has to be voted on by the Congress people and the Senate, and it's usually the Senate, which is made up of 50 representatives, 2 from each state, stops stuff. I'm not going to get really, really, I guess, political on here, but there's a people that we will not name. And those people seem to have a lot of wheel, a lot of influence over all of our politicians. The things that they want, they get. I'm going to take a tour over here to the chat again. Okay, no. Okay, most of you said no. You don't think it's not gonna make a difference. It's just the same old song, not for us anyway. It might make a difference for somebody else, getting somebody else a salary, working in a third party. But yeah, you're right, Mr. Perry. Just more confusion, just more chaos. So they're trying to keep us sick, broke, fearful, and uninformed. Sick, broke, fearful, and uninformed. They are, yeah, Celine. Yeah, Celine. Yeah. And somebody, what is that the congressman's name that basically outed everybody for being in bed with certain people that wouldn't be named? I don't know why I keep forgetting his name, but he's very outspoken, very vocal, like Ron Paul used to be. And 10 days after he basically made the announcement that all of our senators and congressmen are compromised, his wife passed away. That was quite interesting. Um, I can't think of his name. I maybe may come with it. Now, he's the guy, and if anybody wants to look it up, he's the guy that said that this group of people, all of our senators and congressmen have handlers. And then that's when that happened. I feel for him. Massey. Thank you. Thomas Massey. And he to me has the gumption to stand up and say, call a spade a spade. And thinking of that, how many of you have been keeping up with Candace Owens? I don't watch, because I don't sit there and watch for an hour and all that, but she's going in on the people that will not be named. And I'm concerned about her life. But again, people are going to do what they're going to do. I'm concerned about people that are still believing in this system. I'm concerned about them because I see them every day. Everything is blamed on Donald Trump. They've forgotten all of the stuff that happened in the last administration. And so when I bring up the fact that that last president wasn't the one running the country and there was some rubber stamp, and the conversation kind of dies off because the you can't just sit and be angry at Donald Trump. He's doing stuff that's awful now, as far as I'm concerned. Also, one of the things that I was looking forward to, and I'm kind of telling you the things that I was looking forward to, was make America healthy again. I don't know what's going on with Kennedy, but he has approved some mRNAs. And as far as the nutrition is concerned, there was supposed to be nutritional education for the doctors, because all of this stuff stems from our gut health. All of it. Garbage in, garbage out is what my mom used to say. And it's the total truth, because all of these ailments come from bad gut health. And these doctors don't get any training on nutrition. And I'm going to be bold and say it's drug pushers. They want to give you a drug. They say you got, what is it, high cholesterol? Well, anybody know how high bears cholesterol? It's giving you drugs. Okay. Now they did put something together to say, okay, well, now doctors are going to have training in nutrition. And I was like, oh, okay, that'll be good. Guess how much? They are required to have 1 hour of training in nutrition every 4 years. Another slap in the face, another gut punch, another one. So, yeah, maybe they made some rules about people that have SNAP or food stamps can't have Coke and things like that. But what about the rest of us? What about, I've heard that the most dangerous thing is to have good health insurance, because you go to the doctor and the doctor tells you stuff. And I went for a checkup, what do you call it, a physical, this year, because I was forced to go in there. I didn't go to the doctor at all last year. I don't take any prescriptions. I do take herbs, vitamins, and minerals. I don't want to be shot up with drugs. I don't want somebody telling me I need to be on this, that, or the other. I go online. It's very simple. Find some natural remedy. I have this thick book, thanks to the Perrys. This thick book that I have with all these natural remedies in it, and I just go to the book, because we didn't have all this foolishness a century ago and people were fine. Yeah, we needed antibiotics, or we needed, doctors to wash their hands after surgery because people got a lot of infections. But all this other stuff, all these vaccines for children. Uh, okay. Dr. Berg is another one that I really like. He tells it like it is. I know he's shadow banned a lot, but he has like millions of followers because he tells it like it is. So I'm going to go back over and look at the chat and see what you guys are saying. Marjorie Taylor Greene. I I've heard her say things. I'm really not on base with her. Uh, I'm tired of talk. Okay, it's time for action. If you're going to say that you're going to do something, then don't let it disappear and come up with an excuse. I'm not saying that's her, but it's like, I'm not listening to these people talk. I'm watching. Actually, I told you guys I don't have TV. I do have the internet and I do watch YouTube, but it's starting to get to the point where it's noise. So there's a video, a short two minute video that I saw with this guy. He was talking about Steve Jobs, and he was talking about noise versus signal. If your signal needs to be 80%, you need to select 3 to 5 things that you need to get done that day, and don't let anything get in your way. So, unless it's some kind of a story that I might use for the internet. I don't like animals, y'all. So please don't send me videos about animals, because I'm just going to delete them automatically. But we have 24 hours in a day, all of us do. And I'm at a point where I'm basically trying to make sure that I use them correctly. I get rid of the noise and concentrate on what needs to be done, because I think that Time is running out for those of us who want freedom and peace. I believe that Agenda 2030 is when the can hits the deadline. You know, when I say they're kicking the can down the road, it hits a wall right there, if not before that. So let's see what we have. Elon wants to go to Mars while destroying Memphis. Thomas, I saw that video and it was astounding to me that he skipped over all the rules and regulations and put that stuff up in the Memphis area. Said only a few of those, what do you call them, combines or whatever, were working, and actually it was a lot more than that. He doesn't give a hot flash about us. As a matter of fact, most of them don't give a hot flash, and I use that word, hot flash. I'll understand that. They don't give a hot flash about us. So why are we spending our time debating on whether they're a good person or bad person or no. This man is destroying a whole town because he wants what he wants. Some of her stuff is really interesting and eye-opening. Okay, I mean, I've heard of her. They call her crazy. Uh, I'm not here nor there with her. I was looking forward to that also. Yes, then the tables turn. How many things were we looking forward to? Then the tables turn. Okay, I'm gonna talk about one in a minute that's really disturbing. He must have had a visit from MIB. Yeah, that's what part of them say. He's pushing wearables to keep track of you and your body. Yeah, and this Genius Bill, how many of you know about the Genius Bill that just passed supposedly today? That is going to, suppose it's the people who think is a good thing say that it's going to legalize cryptocurrency. But what it's doing is bringing in the CBDC. And I don't know that we're not going to at some point be like China, where if you said something like I say, like the things that I say on YouTube, then your social credit score goes down and you can't do this and you can't do that. So I don't know how long it's going to be, but they're trying to. And how many of you listen to Catherine Austin Fitts? If you don't, go out on YouTube. I'm pretty sure she doesn't have a YouTube channel, but she's on a lot of different people's YouTube channel. Catherine Austin Fitts is the one that was undersecretary to Housing, Urban, and Development back in the, I believe, maybe Bush days. And she discovered that a lot of drugs were being brought into the inner city because those people wanted that. The people wanted the land back in the inner city. There had a lot of projects in the inner city, and they figured out, oh, we don't want the projects here. We want to put, high-end condos. And here in Atlanta, we have something called Atlantic Station, and they have all the stores and movies and a whole bunch of high rises that are pretty expensive. And in other places, they built up homes and townhouses where the projects used to be. And she discovered that, drugs were coming in. This is a little side note. So this is cartoon that I used to watch sometime called The Boondocks. How many of y'all know about The Boondocks? So there's this episode of The Boondocks called The Itis. And I'm not going to even explain what the itis is, but there was a restaurant that everybody liked the food. And well, I take that back. There was a guy that cooked some great food, and some powerful bankster came to him and said, "Hey, why don't you open up a restaurant? Here, I'll fund you the money for it." So he opens up a restaurant in a certain place, and it got to the point where people were so addicted to the food there that it became crime ridden, and they ended up having to close the restaurant down after people were fighting and doing all kind of things to get the food there. And at the end of that episode called The Itis, you see that bankster um, in that neighborhood that's now dilapidated, getting ready to change it into something, gentrify it, change it into what he wanted it to be. So go out there and look for The Itis. That was deep, but this is what's happening. That was what was happening, and she got persecuted for 11 years. lost all her money. Had, they had her in court for 11 years, and finally she won her case. She started over, and she has what's called the Solari report. I think it's Solari, and she has like a high end group of people that she helps with financial information. I'm not in the group, but I do listen to her video. So when you listen to her, know that this is a person that's telling the truth about what's going on. And she has some serious things to say about the CBDC. So let's see what else we have. They call that dangerous. Yeah. When you're when you're young, your body can heal on its own. That's true. Even with the help of herbs, I grow rosemary in my yard, oregano, lemon balm, mint, peppermint, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And so I just like I'll cut it when it gets really big and put it in a box and let it dry, and then break it down, and I make tea. So I put it in a tea ball. So I might have a little lemon balm, a little. If I'm not feeling well, I'm going to definitely put the rosemary and oregano in there. The other day I had rosemary, oregano, lemon balm. I had some turmeric and pepper. I had some ginger, and I had some lemon with honey. Talk about good. But then, our bodies are so toxic that we need to make sure that we're detoxing a lot. That's right. We are done hearing about it. Only tangible accomplishments will do. I'm done. Love like the sun. I am done with these folks. Because how many chances do they get? Every 4 years, they plop somebody in there and they are making promises. Obama made a whole lot of promises. Uh, Trump just made a whole lot of promises, and I don't see a lot going on. Yes, Catherine Austin Fitts is great. Now, Jeffrey Epstein, this whole thing has gotten really, really weird. First of all, they come out with a report recently that said, number one, he deleted himself, and number two, there is no list. After them saying that there's a list and it's going to come out, and then that backtracking, and President Trump got on there the other day and called people idiots for even talking about that in a press conference, because we had people that had passed away in Texas from the floods and all this other stuff. And it's like, wait a minute. We are not stupid. We are not Boo Boo the Fool, because we know that with that name, a lot of stuff comes along with that name, a lot of stuff. Who are these people on the flights? If you don't have a list, like you say you don't, you got the flight logs. Who was on that plane? This person is, if you listen to Candace, which people send me stuff and I kind of listen to a few clips, was heavily, heavily involved with the people that will not be named. So a lot of people believe that he's out there somewhere, that 1 minute that was missing on the video of the prison, and somebody put a little meme out there and saw, and it, he was running down the hall. But it's a shame and a disgrace that we can't get justice. We can't get justice for those victims. We don't need to know their names. We want to know who was doing unspeakable things to children. We want to know who was doing that. But they don't want us to know that. And that other person, P. Diddy, same thing. Same thing. I remember when that case first came out and certain names were named, names that were high up in the record industry, or I guess the recording industry is what I want to say. And within 48 hours, those names had disappeared from the mouth of the district attorney. And I remember who they were. They were really people that were high up in the industry. So, and then he only got like a slap on the hand. And so it makes people discouraged, because it gives the impression, or more than an impression, that some people are above the law. I have seen people in my environment just give up. You know that hope is gone when people just run lights. It's like the red light is just a suggestion now. You know that people have just given up when they hmm, the road rage around here in Atlanta has gotten out of hand. Um, People just don't care. So my thing about the Epstein thing is evidently there are too many people on this list that existed, but it doesn't exist anymore, that are too important, too above the law. And at this point, although I was hoping, I got caught hoping, y'all, that some things would come out. Um, I'm not even looking forward to that anymore. So I'm gonna go back in and look and see what you guys are saying. Yeah, Catherine Austin Fitz. Her name is Catherine Austin Fitz. Okay, thanks for yeah. And so yes, I hear that a lot of people are very angry that they are trying to bury this. Y'all remember that movie Don't Look Up? If you all watched that, it was on Netflix. It was a comedy, but there was a meteor or something coming, and the government was telling people don't look up. And so there were certain people trying to get people to do certain, but this is one of those don't look up things to me. So many other islands. That's not sounding good. Yeah, yeah. Either the president is on his list, he's covering for people, or both. Yeah. Vaughn says, I truly believe he is still among the living. I do too, Vaughn. I can't prove it, but in my heart, I believe he is. They are so devious. Truth is not in them. Exactly. Truth is not in them. The real list was released in 2017. Okay, what happened to it? I guess, some people are saying, oh, they're trying to use it for uh, blackmail or trying to use it for leverage. No, answer to the people. They get millions upon millions of dollars from us, and they're living lavishly, and they're not doing jack squat for us. Phoenix, okay, I'm glad I'm here too. I was dragging, but I'm here. Okay. Oh, you saw it. Okay. All right then. You can provide more information about can you provide more information about Dr. Berg? It's Berg. Go to his YouTube channel, Dr. Berg. He talks about all things natural, ways to heal, ways to lose weight, ways to boost our brain, ways to detox our gut. He has lots and lots of videos, and I think he has like really millions of subscribers. I forgot how many, but the thing about him is you got to go find his videos, because the way the algorithm is supposed to work, it doesn't work for him, because he's telling us things that will keep us from taking all those drugs. Great guy. He has products that he sells. Like, I have several of his products upstairs. I have some I think it's D and K1. I have some of his electrolytes. I have several of his products that he has, because he's one doctor that I trust. I've been following him for several years, and even though his videos don't pop up that much, sometimes I'll just go in and catch up, because they're not letting them pop up anymore. Okay, let's see. Illuminati type stuff. Yeah, this is really, yeah, on that level. It's on that level, Phoenix, because there are people that were doing things. I remember seeing a video, and I don't know what happened to it, but it was of I think it was a mother and daughter, and they were at the palace in London. And as they were filming themselves, or the mother was filming the daughter talking in front of it, you could see way up um, somebody that was unclothed, a male, an unclothed male, jumping out the window. You might want to see if it's still on YouTube or whatever. But he had let himself out the window with some sheets or something, and then it looked like he fell. So I don't know whether he fell and was terminated or what, but it was crystal clear that he was trying to escape one of those palaces there. And this is it's all crazy. It's just crazy. Um, can you provide more? Okay, I got that one. It went down some. Let's see. Man like may believe. Let's see that they are above the law, but no one is above Adonai's judgment. Be not deceived. God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man sow, that shall he also reap. Galatians 6:7. He didn't have any deletion. Oh, yeah. Ideations. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Okay. So listen, I'm going to get into some of this other stuff that is happening, and some of this stuff is going to affect you guys. So, how many of you work in education? Okay. So Love Like the Sun says that if you don't vote, they'll vote for you. That's interesting. And I don't doubt that. So she's saying vote every year and put other people's names in there, because if you don't, then they'll put somebody else's name under yours. That's very interesting. Dr. Josh Axe and Jordan Rubin and Brian Artist. So I know about Brian Artist. He's basically cracked open some stuff about the mRNAs. So the Supreme Court allowed President Donald Trump to move forward with dismantling the Department of Education and firing almost 1,400 employees. And I still think it's part of this kabuki dance. That's a whole lot. That's a whole lot. With the other bill that he has, there are going to be a whole bunch of immigrants that are displaced. I don't know what they're doing with them, because they're not flying all of them out of the country. So another thing about the U.S. Department of Education, thinking of education, those people that have student loans, they're about to crank that back up. People will no longer be in forbearance, and their interest will start. I think it's on August 1st. So if you have a student loan, then you'll have to start paying interest again and putting us more into debt. Now, the economy is trash right now, and they're not they're not helping us. Some of the bills that I've seen, they're going to help business owners. They won't help employees. So you all know that I strongly suggest that you start a home-based business so that you can write off everything but the kitchen sink legally. Um, those of you that want to explore other means to deal with the government, there was some stuff that I put out um, earlier concerning who you are and who is the United States. If you go to my comment section, or what do you call it in YouTube, the post section, I put that information out there. But if you got a student loan, come August 1st, which is less than 15 days away, then you'll start having to pay the interest on that student loan again. All of this money that they've saved could pay off all these people's mortgages, could pay off, we need a break. It's like everybody knows now that we're being taken advantage of. And I'm saying that in a nice way. We're the government's thing, and they're not working for us. So um let me talk about tariffs for a minute. Now, everybody was all up in arms about these tariffs and how they're going to destroy us and all that. How many of you realize that most other countries already have tariffs, and we get tariffed? So, like, if I ship something, I've shipped something to Panama, and the tariff slash tax on it was almost as much as the item that I sent. If you want to relocate and let's say move to Costa Rica, the amount that you have to pay on your car, if you want to ship your car, is at least 54% of the value of your car. So And there's so many more. So now he's talking about reciprocal tariffs. So he's talking about the countries that have tariffs and that we have to pay, then he's going to put tariffs on them. I think that's pretty fair. I think it's fair. But and I don't see how it's going to destroy our economy any more than it's already destroyed. There's so many people that are struggling that it's just not funny. And the things that they're doing aren't immediately helping us. The relief is not there for the people. The relief is not there. So I heard that what was it? The mayor, I think it's the mayor out of California, had given a whole bunch of money to people that were not citizens, but it's not doing anything for the people. Same thing in Chicago. Same thing in a lot of these cities where the resources aren't going to the people who that have the businesses and the people that actually live in the neighborhood. So it's not good. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I'm doing right now in a minute. I got one more subject that I want to cover. Let's go over here. His whole administration is a doozy, right? It's like, to me, it's all these young kids in there and people who they're already connected with the corporatocracy, heavily connected with the corporatocracy. Kirsten, hello again. What's your thoughts on XRP and all these influencers talking about XRP and crypto? I really haven't done a lot of research on it. I have XRP. I have a decent amount of XRP that is sitting there, and I don't know what's going to happen with it. I'm not holding my breath, put it like that. To me, what I think I heard Catherine Austin Fitts either say, or what I got out of what she said, is once they bring the CBDC in, then all these other cryptos, maybe not Bitcoin, but all these other cryptos are not going to have a standing. And I'm hoping that's not true, because a lot of people are touting themselves as crypto millionaires, and I'm hoping that comes through for them. Only 5K left. Phoenix. Okay, our grandparents had 7 kids. Today's average is 1.9. This is a prime indicator that our wealth is gone. So the birth rate is too low, and there's a point where it's not going to work out. It's like in Japan right now, they can't get people to have kids, and so they're gonna go extinct like the dodo bird, and we're on the way too, because the birth rate is so low. And as far as Social Security is concerned, I think that they want to continue to tax the Social Security, because there's so many baby boomers that are retiring and not enough workers. A lot of people are not paying into Social Security. A lot of people are doing their little gig thing. They're trying to trace all this gig money and try to make PayPal and Stripe and Square give you a 1099 for $600. It's all these things that they're doing to us is blatant. It's blatant that they don't care about us, and that they're trying to just milk us dry. And another thing that's causing some stir is AI. A lot of people are using AI. I've used AI a little bit. I'm kind of learning how to use it, but had you all heard that the Bank of New York Mellon announced that it has deployed dozens of artificial intelligence powered digital employees? People are losing their jobs more than ever now. I mean, it was something that 10 years ago you probably wouldn't have thought about. And it's not just blue collar workers. A lot of managers are losing their jobs. A lot of consultants a lot of analysts are losing their job because of AI. A lot of people I heard a lady the other day say that her husband was an animator in like like a Disney or something like that. And their income is going down because AI is being used as an animator. I mean, AI is doing the animation. So if you've made a whole career out of doing animation, and then AI comes in, they don't have to pay AI. They have to pay one time for the system to be put together, and then you're out the door. So to me, that's an area of concern, and it should be an area of concern for everybody. Everybody, because when people lose their jobs or their businesses, then that's less money flowing through the economy. Another AI story that I saw was mind reading AI predicts what humans will do next, and it's shockingly accurate. So they got an AI program called Centaur, CENTAUR, that accurately predicts human behavior across any psychological experiments. What was that movie that Tom Cruise was in, where they would arrest you before you did a crime? Do y'all remember that? As soon as I saw that article about this I thought about that movie. Um, it's interesting. So what it says here is it accurately predicts human behavior across any psychological experiments. It even outperforms the specialized computer models scientists have been using for decades. Trained on data from more than 60,000 people, making over 10 million decisions, this AI captures the underlying patterns of how we think, learn, and make choices. This particular AI internal workings have become more aligned with human brain activity, even though it was never explicitly trained to match neural data. Did y'all get that? How did that happen? This thing's internal workings have become more aligned with human brain activity, even though it was never explicitly trained to match neural data. Now, if that doesn't scare the bejesus out of you, I don't know what will. So, how many of you also heard about the story about the AI that kind of rewrote its code? It figured out that they were getting ready to delete it, and it rewrote it with Chat GPT, I believe it was. So we've got all kind of stuff. We live in interesting times. I will say that we live in interesting times. I'm going to go back to the chat before I move on. Rich Pritch says, I'm not ready for crypto. Silver, yes. Silver and gold, yes. They're going up. They're astronomical right now. And so that's where I want something I can hold in my hands or I can put my feet on, which is silver, gold, and real estate. CBDCs got nixed in the big, beautiful bill. Companies like BlackRock are buying up XRP. I heard about that. And Ethereum like crazy now. Bank of New York has partnered with Ripple. So check out the Genesis bill and see what the Genesis bill said. Okay, Phoenix, thank you. Minority Report. That was a deep movie to me. That was really, really deep. And I like sci-fi because sci-fi tells you what's coming along. Because you remember back in Star Trek days when they had the flip phone, that was their communicator. Kirk and Spock, that, and they had a disc on one of the episodes, a whole bunch of stuff. Somebody even says that they actually have transporters where they're experimenting with beaming stuff from one place to another. I don't know, but I do believe that a lot of the things that people put in a movie is in process or already happening. Love your content. Where can I find your site for the IRS tax advice? If you go to, it's not my site, it's somebody else's site, somebody that is very, very well researched. But if you go to my YouTube post and go down where I talk about this person is a genius and their information needs to be researched more and looked at regarding the way they have determined and use AI. They used AI. They used Copilot, I think it's called, to determine about the ripoff that we're having. Okay, official digital. Yep, hubby and I unemployed, and I don't know whether it was the AI that put you out, but things are. This is like a sinking ship, y'all. It's like a sinking ship. Minority Report. I don't, I don't know what we would do. Not easy to find a new job. Yeah, try to start a business. Think of something that you can do that other people will pay for in the marketplace. That's what I help people do that. So even if it's like, baking, or I don't know, but whatever you can think of, that, or even one guy that has a huge Amazon store now. He started out with nothing, and he was going to Target and Walmart and buying the stuff that was discounted in the back and selling it on Amazon and maybe on eBay also. But he was, get something, a whole bunch of them. It needed to be a lot of them. So if they had 15 of, let's say 15 of these, and he would buy the 15 of them, and then he would sell them on Amazon, and he worked up, he would take the money and buy more stuff, and then it got to be bigger stuff. And then now he has a whole store on Amazon. So that's something that you can do, or find something that you can sell at a local flea market if you don't want to do Amazon. Lexi Blue, look into the bio digital convergence. Sabrina Wallace talks about how they have had our biofield aura on the blockchain since 1995. That's deep. Wow. They're using drones to connect. Yeah, wow. It's a lot. AI still needs data centers, fossil fuels. Exactly. Isn't that's crazy? I mean, it still has to, just like the electric cars, they still need gas. And when they break down, who comes to get them? The tow truck that's run by gas. Okay? That is deep. Bank of America lost $1 billion because silver rose last Friday. Wow. Oh wow. How did they lose $1 billion? Wow, that's deep. They are building data centers everywhere, where it flooded in Texas, LA, South Carolina, etc. Underground data centers for energy to turn the AI infrastructure, to run the AI infrastructure. That's interesting. Wow. And that whole thing about geoengineering, the weather. I don't know. Somebody said that there was somebody that had some planes up a few days before the Texas thing. Yeah, I feel for those people. My heart goes out to those families. For that much rain to fall that fast is suspect to me. Have you ever seen the ACEs or the politicians as babies? It's pretty funny. I did see some little, I've seen that. It's cute. But again, I don't spend a lot of time on that because it's cute, but I'm on a mission, and I'll tell you about that. Let's see. Would scrap metal, junk removal, etc., be considered a home-based business? Yeah, it's like you want to find something that's going to use less of your time. You can do that every once in a while, but you can't scale that because it's time consuming. You got to go find the stuff, and like I see the guys going up and down my street a lot of times and looking for stuff that's been put out for scrap metal, but it takes a lot of time. And it would probably be better if you can to find something that you can do online. I will train anyone to perform air duct cleaning. Okay. Yeah, we need our air ducts cleaned for sure. Don't need a lot of capital to start. Yeah. Okay. And see, that's a business in itself. You can have a course, create a course, and have people come to your course, which I'm gonna be doing my courses again. You're my favorite doctor. Oh, that's so sweet. LBJ video about weather seeding. Yeah, this is too much. So, those of you that have been with me for a while know that we are developing in Costa Rica. Some of you have been, some of you on here have been. Uh, it's moving faster now. I don't know whether some people say I'm going to stand my ground here. My grandparents and my great grandparents were here, and that's fine. No shade on you, but I want peace and freedom, and I don't see it being here in the near future. So we are down in Costa Rica on the Caribbean coast of Costa Rica building. We have two different communities that we're working on. Got we're almost we're at a point in one of them where the drawings are being done. The drawings are done, and we're looking for a few more people. And the other one, the one that's a little bit larger, I'm still waiting on the city to give me some permits and some direction as to where we can and can't build, because that one's more close to the ocean. Not real close, but more close to the ocean. And I'll be going back down there. I think I might have something in my post about it, but I'll be going down October 11th through 26th. I don't expect everybody to stay that long, but I've invited people to come down and tour, like do an expedition where we get together, go on tours, uh, learning the area, doing city tours, doing other tours. And if you're interested in maybe looking at Costa Rica as your plan B or your retirement or just a place where you want to get some rental property and then maybe retire, or just some place that you can go when the excrement hits the portable cooling device, then let me know. Go and or if you can't see it, it's down in the post somewhere. Let me know, and then so I do have people signed up. There are people signed up to go. We had a Zoom meeting the other day to give some preliminary information. When more people get involved, I'll probably have another Zoom meeting to give out information about how flights work and whether you can, when you get to San Jose, which is the capital, whether you take the bus or a plane, which is a 12-seater, or you might want to take the city bus, or you might want to take a van, those kinds of things. Where, what hotel should you stay in? You don't know where you are. I had one lady that made her hotel reservations and she was a long way, even though she was in the same city, she was a long way from where we were. So anyway, that's something that if you're thinking about, I mean, we have plenty of time before October. If you're thinking about a plan B, then I've been going down there since January of 2018. I do have a home there. I'm settled in. I'm going to move out of that home and move into our community and rent that home out at some point when we get going. But it made more sense for me to get a home instead of paying hotels every time I go down there. So let me check over. It's about time for us to end. And let's see what we got. Any other questions, comments? If they ever abolish the IRS, you deserve to be compensated. Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing. They've been going back and forth on that for decades. But again, they like our money because our money gives them power. So, yeah. My cousin is a New York lawyer and he owns a beachfront home in Montauk. Is that the very, wait a minute. It's the very end of, okay, I've heard of that at Long Island. My cousin bought the home fully furnished. Homes and everything here is expensive. Uh, the economy is shot. So figure out what you're gonna do. If you want a home based business, start a home based business. Start your business on the side. Keep your job because you got bills to pay. Don't just quit your job. Keep your job, but start thinking about what you want as a future for yourself and your family. Also, y'all, make a plan. If something goes down here, get your family together. Not just your immediate family, but your cousins, aunts, uncles, mom, dad. Get together, have a meeting, talk about your plan just in case something crazy happens. Who's going to pick up the kids? Whose house are we going to be at, or what two houses are we going to be at? The people who live alone, they need to go to another house because they're unprotected. All those, make a plan. It's better to be prepared and not have to go through this than to not be prepared and be, you know, in living in chaos, scratching your head thinking, what should I do? What should I do? If you make a plan with your family, then you already know what to do. And this is something that I've been doing for years, and we just renewed our plan. We got together on July 4th and we renewed our plan. We changed it a little bit, upgraded it, but all of the people that were in this house, in the house on that day, know what needs to be done if we have a crisis. So, one more time to the chat. The cost of some homes, yeah, the cost of everything, the profits that are taken off of us is ridiculous, and especially the people, the politicians. So, anyway, like I said, if you want to get with me about Costa Rica, let me know. I'm going to try my best to come at least every other Friday to update you on different things, or different my perspective on different things, because sometimes I know stuff behind the scenes because people still call me, people that know what I did, what I sacrificed, they care. People call me. Some of them don't identify themselves, but they have given me information that has proven to be true. They have warned me 6 hours in advance of things that I needed to take care of before stuff happened. So everybody have a wonderful weekend, and maybe I'll see you next Friday. I'll announce it on my I'll announce it everywhere that I can, and let you know in advance if I'm coming. So have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you guys soon.